Hello, I'm David Sandilands, Principal Solutions Architect at Puppet by Perforce, and I'm here to present the findings of the 2022 State of DevOps Report Platform Engineering Edition. The State of DevOps Report has been released annually since 2013 and has had approximately 40,000 people surveyed. Over the last 4 reports, we have seen slower growth of organisations identifying as highly evolved, growing 10 to 18%, with the majority of organisations remaining at the middle level at around 80%. DevOps has become so prevalent within many organizations, they're not even using the term anymore, since it's simply the way they work. But what is meant by DevOps can actually vary so greatly between these organizations. With these two things in mind, the value of surveying across the organizations has reduced over time. As a result, we've chosen to stop doing reports on the broad concept of DevOps and to focus on specific impactful topics. Last year's report showed that the adopting automation infrastructure as code does not create highly evolved DevOps practices alone. And a focus on improving organizational structure, team identity, and interaction between teams with a common attribute of the highly developed DevOps organizations. It was therefore decided to focus this year's survey on platform engineering, which has been tracked for several years by the report and has been shown as a clear pattern that more mature DevOps organizations use platforms, with 65% of highly evolved organizations using platforms against 40% of those at the lower end. The report aims to review platforms and their use in detail to understand the adoption and approaches across industry, while I will also aim to provide relevant experience from my time working and creating platforms and supporting customers with their platforms. This year's report had its survey conducted online from September 14th to October 25th, 2022, and respondents were gathered through 2 approaches, a snowball sampling method and a professional panel. Snowball sampling is a process in which respondents are encouraged to share a survey with their networks, causing the sample to grow like a snowball rolling down a hill. Promotion was done via various sources, emailing lists, social media, and some of our partners. The professional panel reduces our sample bias, maintaining a quality engagement membership of various levels of practitioners, all recruited via non-profit methods. We also included a control group of similar participants who do not have platform teams at their organizations for comparison. A balanced geographical spread was achieved with a mix of small, medium, and large organizations. And now, although as expected, the technology industry was the largest responder, a solid mix of sectors was polled, as well as a cross-section of roles of these 438 respondents. The first finding was most platforms are relatively new. Only 19% respondents reported that platform teams were established more than 5 years ago. Large-scale platforms have predominantly been the domain of the relatively new big tech companies. And the reality is there aren't that many of those companies compared to the much larger set of enterprise companies now developing their platforms. This feels similar to when DevOps itself was first being adopted, and some might worry they weren't a Google or Netflix, and they were behind with the trend. But exactly as now, the adoption by larger enterprises followed these big tech companies. For most, the time is now to adopt platforms, with 70% seeing platforms created at the right time, 23% believing it was too late, and only 6% reporting too early, highlighting how few teams regret the adoption of platforms. Looking at the main reasons for creation of a platform team at these organizations, they're unsurprising. The need to increase the speed of delivery, featuring most at 22%, followed by the need to scale at 18%, and engineering's taking on too much work, featured along with various points around duplication of work, cost control, and then influencing factors such as consultants or leadership wanting the practice to be delivered. The key goal of the platform team being problem solving at 54% reflects how platform teams aim to prevent other teams from having to keep repetitively solving common problems in isolation. The rest of the answers of the key goal of the platform team can be seen around enabling the use of the platform, with education and empowerment of developers and product teams featuring prominently at 47% and 40% respectively. 46% then answered setting and promoting best practices was key. What we're seeing here is more people-centric approaches naturally following on from the previous DevOps implementations we saw, where enterprises were too technology focused over people and stalled their DevOps journey at a middling level. Looking now in terms of the purpose and structure of the platforms, what we can see from the capabilities and services offered by the platform is the provision of infrastructure for developers is key, with deployment, operation, and monitoring and security being identified. But merely providing developers with the ability to provision infrastructure, although a necessary step, is not sufficient. Teams must be able to deliver value to their users independently. And that's where these things being developed together in a workflow that ensures that from the moment they receive their infrastructure from the platform, they can actively perform actions and do not have to go out looking for manual steps to truly enable themselves. Looking more at the structure of platforms and how many platforms organizations have, the majority, 57% of respondents report they have between 2 and 4 platforms, while 30% have 5 or more. This indicates platforms are emerging from multiple areas of the organization. This can happen in a number of ways: organically from value stream developer teams who are looking to share solutions with each other, from advanced operation teams with a trusted reputation in their organization, or from a top-down approach by progressive management. We believe this number of platforms depends on the context, and everything should not be forced onto a single platform, or this could hamper development. It can also be seen that 82% of platform teams are centralized. And what we mean by centralization here is that a platform team supports various business units across the organization, as opposed to just a single business unit. This pattern of centralization seems increasing over time, with 52% reporting increases of centralization and 36% of those already with a centralized approach believing the platform will be better if it was even more centralized. With decentralized teams, we see 37% who believe it would perform better if they were more centralized as well. And in this case, it's both users and operators of the platform teams reporting this. So this is not just operators looking to get a greater control, this is users looking for better performance. Although there will always be cases that decentralized teams are required, with certain jurisdictions requiring legal separation, such as geographical requirements for work to be performed by citizens of a certain nationality within the country, or for splits between sensitive departments, such as the trading arm and the retail arm of a bank. Looking now at the benefits of platform engineering in terms of DevOps adoption and the development velocity, it's been overwhelmingly positive. 93% of respondents reporting that the platform team adoption is a step in the right direction, and 94% agreeing the concept is helping the organization better realize the benefits of DevOps. Within this, it's noticeable that 53% of organizations that have been using platform engineering for more than 3 years report speed has improved a great deal, compared to 35% of organizations that implemented platform engineering within the last 3 years. Creating this level of change this quickly in large enterprises is impressive, particularly when we compare it with previous efforts with Agile and DevOps, where some organizations spent 5 or 10 years achieving very little organizational-wide success. This pattern of the lifespan affecting the confidence is seen again when survey respondents are asked about the future and how platforms will meet their goals, with a major boost from 56% completely or very confident the platform will meet its goals, going to 73% after 3 years. This is unsurprising given how cyclical our industry can be, that confidence increases over time. But there is still a high degree of confidence in platform engineering ability to meet organizational goals, regardless of how long the platform team has existed. It's also important to consider with this to get true buy-in from developers and operators. They've got to really believe the platform is something that will be lasting and will be developed, not something which will only have a couple of years' interest before leadership moves on to something new and something is more fashionable than platform engineering. We can also see it's a major challenge for organizations to create optimizations outside of single teams. So it's really impressive to see 30% of respondents believe the whole company is best served by platform engineering. Now, it's unsurprising to see that after that developer teams are the next best served, with the focus of platforms improving the developer experience. Looking at the relatively low score of 14% for infrastructure teams, we should understand the fact we don't deploy infrastructure just for its own sake, but to deliver value on top of it. So it's not a surprising result. Again, the lifespan of the platform has a huge impact, with organizations over 3 years old reporting at 36% that the whole company benefits compared to 25% at under 3 years. Looking now at the core issues and priorities of platforms, it can be seen that setting expectations and creating awareness of the platforms is key. Even in organizations which have started with rudimentary platforms for deploying infrastructure, the expectations quickly reset once they've worked with modern platforms, and especially when they can do direct comparisons with services such as public cloud. I personally experienced outrage at the first outage of the IaaS platform I worked on, which, despite being recovered well within its documented SLA, far ahead of how the old platform performed in terms of reliability. But in the absence of us having those full discussions with users to set their expectations of working pattern and performance and stability, they saw the system as something which should have been working near 24/7. And as highlighted by the 32% of correspondents angry with the lack of communication around changes to the platform, they will rightly assume how the platform works today is how they should invest their automation and integrations with the platform. And this can also be seen in the resistance to the platform team adoption being another top problem. As we already discussed, there can always be a fear that the platform will just be a temporary focus, which is not worth the developers investing in. Fortunately, we can see in terms of the priorities for platform teams over the next 12 years, they seem to directly answer these problems, with efforts to increase awareness of the platform capability as a top priority at 47%, and setting realistic expectations for the platform team's role at 44%. And then working on further to expand automation and features of the platform and following industry trends all highlighted, which should allow the platform to be continually evolved to meet developer and user needs. Now, the challenge that can be seen from the problems and priorities is all around how is the platform truly manage the product. With only 66% of respondents strongly or somewhat agreeing their platform engineering team has a product owner who can evangelize the platform service, this would seem to be a major challenge. This is reflected in the fact 43% of respondents are very or somewhat concerned the platform team will not evolve quickly enough. Treating your platform as a product is a key tenet of modern platform engineering. Yet while this is generally well understood, the data tells us that organizations are underinvesting in product management skills on their platform teams and capabilities. More worryingly, nearly half, 48% of respondents agree that senior management of their organization does not understand the value of platform engineering. And a similar degree of respondents themselves, 51%, admit they are sometimes equally confused about the concept. This points towards an underinvestment in the product manager role again, which requires good skills in effectively disseminating information throughout their organization about the platform. So while we have clearly seen early and positive starts for platforms and platform engineering, there's no room for complacency. Young platforms should expect rapid growth as they're evangelized, and if the platform team is not well invested in, this could result in stability issues and communication problems and a struggle to keep evolved. As was previously mentioned, industry and company cycles can affect the focus on product. There can be a huge temptation by management to view platform as technically delivered and not needing this ongoing investment and spending. I've already seen successful platform managers face redundancy as complacency sets in and the platform is assumed to be something that can be delivered, something that has been delivered. If platforms fall back like this to this fully technology and project-based view, they will fail to evolve and fail to meet ongoing customer demands. And this would remind me of my own old style platform experience I worked with when we had to receive project funding for every major OS release or change the key components to keep upgrading our platform, and it was a never-ending struggle to stay evolved. Now, of course, the most key of all to understand platform engineering is that it's not new and DevOps isn't dead. This platform approach is not at all new, but the surge in its popularity is, particularly in the enterprise space, with so many large companies having experienced the struggle to gain the full benefits of DevOps across their organizations, and platform engineering proving itself so able to deliver very quickly. This is what's resulted in the argument that DevOps is dead and that the modern platform engineering has replaced it. We don't see it this way. DevOps has always borrowed from other movements such as Agile and Lean, and platform engineering is just another one to add to that list. So a full copy of the State of DevOps report can be obtained from Puppet's website, the listed URL. I'd like to thank our sponsors for their support of generating this report, and I'd also like to thank you for your time today.